We have so many amazing programs for all ages, children and youth camps, family weeks, adult programs, or just come up to enjoy nature and community. This year, there are new spring programs, as well as volunteer work weekends where room and board is provided. We hope you will enjoy it, and you will join us in experiencing the beauty of nature and community at Unicamp this season. As we say at Unicamp, it's where our values come out to play.
Colin, you have an announcement as well.
Hi, I'll keep this short. The Waterloo Region Hospice Association is doing a workshop here on April 30th downstairs in Whitten Hall. It's entitled Dying is Normal. If you're interested, there is information in the tab. There is information on the Facebook page, and at some point there will be information up on a board downstairs. So just put that on your radar if you're interested. Thank you.
And we have one more announcement this morning from a guest, one of our Interfaith Grand River guests, Sandy Milne. She's here to talk about the Interfaith Breakfast.
Colin's taller than me. I usually don't have to pull the microphone down. Good morning, and thank you for welcoming us from Interfaith Grand River here this morning. Interfaith Grand River has one major project each year, which is hosting the Interfaith Community Breakfast. This is the 50th Interfaith Community Breakfast, so it actually is... It's actually 26 years older than Interfaith Grand River, so it predates us, but we're the sort of sponsoring body at this point. It's on May 28th. Tickets are $50 each, table of 6 for $275, so you get a bit of a bonus. We are so delighted this year that we have a 14-year-old in conversation with a person who's been at every breakfast except the first. So think about how that is going to play out. Misha's a girl, a young woman, international baccalaureate student at Cameron Heights. And her family is from India. She was born in the United States, but her parents were born in India. And she'll be in conversation with Jim Erb, whom many of you will know as one of the funeral directors at Urban Good Family Funeral Home, or you may know him as a regional counselor. And their topic is roots and wings. Like, how did we get here as a community that actually has an interfaith breakfast that's been going for 50 years? And where on earth might this community go in the next 50 years. So it's going to be a good morning. We really encourage you to buy a ticket or buy a table and come out and support Misha. And most of all, we encourage you to bring young people with you. Most of us who come to places like this, churches like this, can afford to pay for a second ticket. And we will actually subsidize tickets for youth if you ask us. You have to ask us, though, because we don't know who's youth. We don't collect that information. So May 28th, 7 o'clock in the morning is when the breakfast starts. You'll be out of there by 9. Roots and Wings with Misha and Jim. And we'd love to see you there at Binghamans. There's an Eventbrite thing out there for you to click on, and I'll send it to Jay.
And finally, I'd like to welcome our guests from Interfaith Grand River who will be participating in our service to help us understand our relationships with other faiths and cultures in our community. So I'll just remain seated, those of you who are guests. I'll ask you to stand when I'm done. First, we have a youth choir from the Baha'i community, Kitchener-Waterloo. We have Michael Clifton, a church leader from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We have August Edelman and Norm Finkelberg, two leaders from the Jewish Temple Shalom. Dr. Jeff Wilson, our speaker for today, a Unitarian from our own congregation here, Jeff, who is also a Buddhist monk. And we have the person you just met, Sandy Milne, a Roman Catholic Christian. So will you please stand and let us welcome you warmly. And now, please turn off all your electronic devices. Let us prepare our hearts and minds for worship. Let us create space in this hour to simply be together. Gathering in the spirit of life and love, may each of us find what we need and give what is needed. Please stand if you are able and join me in singing our opening hymn, number 346. I chose it for today because it's an invitation to do what we in Interfaith Grand River recognize as a primary purpose of our organization, to know each other and to be known by each other. I'll do it now. There was one announcement that I forgot to give. This is a good one. Huge thanks to everyone who came out to our coffee house on Friday evening. It was a good time. A really good time. Not only did we have a lot of fun, but according to our latest tally, we raised $900 for a better tent city. And there's still yet money coming in, so we might break 1,000. Thanks to all the volunteers who helped make this event a success. And this message is from the organizing team, Margaret Inslee, Colin Reed, who you saw earlier, and myself. Thank you very much. Please join with me as we read the words to our chalice lighting and our affirmation. They're in your program. If you're willing, please read aloud the words in italics. Let this flame be to us a symbol of the wholeness we seek. Its glow reminding us of the sacred bonds which link us to all people. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in harmony with the earth. Thus do we covenant together. Now we have our story for all ages, read by Nick Rinchie.
Good morning. First, a confession that might shock you. I'm not perfect. And sorry, that's not the confession. I'm not perfect. And when I got here this morning, a microphone was handed to me, and it said, "Oh, you're doing a story today," and okay, give me a moment. So downstairs to the library I went and found a story. Well, and seems almost perfect because we all come from different stories and to this place and different faiths and so on. And sometimes we come from one feeling broken and there's nothing left, but there's always something we pull from that. Always something that through community we pull together. We're helped to at least make a story, if nothing else. And so I have Something from Nothing by Phoebe Gilman. When Joseph was a baby, his grandfather made him a wonderful blanket. Look at how beautiful that is. To keep him warm and cozy and to chase away bad dreams. But as Joseph grew older, the wonderful blanket grew older too. One day his mother said to him, "Joseph, look at your blanket. It's frazzled, it's worn, it's unsightly, it's torn. It's time to throw it out." "Grandpa can fix it," Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the blanket and turned it around and around. He said as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needle flew in and out and in and out. There's just enough material here to make a wonderful jacket. Joseph put on the wonderful jacket and went outside to play. But as Joseph grew older, the wonderful jacket grew older too. One day, his mother said to him, "Joseph, look at your jacket. It's shrunken and small, and it doesn't fit you at all. It's time to throw it out." "Grandpa can fix it," Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the jacket and turned it round and round. He said as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needle flew in and out, in and out. There's just enough material here to make a wonderful vest. Joseph wore that wonderful vest to school the very next day. But as Joseph grew older, the wonderful vest grew older too. One day his mother said to him, "Joseph, look at your vest. It's spotted with glue and there's paint on it too. It's time to throw it out." "Grandpa can fix it," Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the vest and turned it round and round. He said as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needle flew in and out, in and out. There's just enough material here to make a wonderful tie. Joseph wore the wonderful tie to his grandparents' house every Friday. But as Joseph grew older, his wonderful new tie grew older too. One day his mother said to him, "Joseph, look at your tie. This big stain of soup makes the end of it droop, and it's time to throw it out." Grandpa can fix it, Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the tie and turned it round and round. He said as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needle flew in and out, in and out. There's just enough material here to make a wonderful handkerchief. Now, I want to point out there's also something at the bottom which I will tell you about at the end. Joseph used the wonderful handkerchief to keep his pebble collection safe. But as Joseph grew older, his wonderful handkerchief grew older too. One day his mother said to him, "Joseph, look at your handkerchief. It's been used till it's tattered. It's splotched and it's splattered. It's time to throw it out." "Grandpa can fix it," Joseph said. Joseph's grandfather took the handkerchief and turned it round and round. He said as his scissors went snip, 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 and his needles flew in and out, in and out. There's just enough material here to make a wonderful button. Joseph wore the wonderful button on his suspenders to hold his pants up. One day his mother said to him, "Joseph, where's your button?" Joseph looked, it was gone. He searched everywhere, but he could not find it. Joseph ran down to his grandfather's house. "My button, my wonderful button is lost." His mother ran after him. "Joseph, listen to me. The button is gone, finished, kaput. Even your grandfather can't make something from nothing." Joseph's grandfather shook his head sadly. "I'm afraid your mother is right," he said. The next day, Joseph went to school. He said as his pen went scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch over the paper. There's just enough material here to make a wonderful story. And a little point out, there's a bottom story going on. As the grandfather remakes things, there's families of mice living below under the floor, and they're using fabric to create their own wonderful world through the whole book.
Before we take up the offering, we'll take a moment to hear from Curtis, who will speak about our 2025 stewardship campaign.
Good morning. My name is Curtis. My little family gladly contributes to Grand River Unitarian because GRU needs money to operate. As Simon, our infrastructure-oriented 6-year-old son, would gladly tell you, GRU benefits greatly from having 7 toilets, 3 urinals, 9 sinks, water for the toilets, water for the urinals, water for the sinks, 6 paper towel dispensers, paper towels, salt for the front steps in winter, heat, and so on. We need these things in order for higher order stuff like community and music to flourish at Grand River Unitarian. We don't attend for the bathrooms or for the sidewalk salt, but we might not participate here as regularly if those items were absent. We contribute financially because GRU needs money to happen, and if GRU ceased to happen, our lives would be massively poorer as a result. We love you people and what we do together. We've been making automatic monthly donations for a long time. Contributing financially to keep the lights on is a super easy decision for us. We've been members almost 15 years, and don't regret a penny that we've sent to GRU. If you are newer to GRU and are wondering what future you might tell you about making an automatic monthly donation over the long term, why not set one up, wait 15 years, and find out? I would more than happily compare thoughts over coffee in 2040. Originally, I'd planned to stand up here with my wife, Catherine, but she is somewhere with Simon. She asked me to share some of her thoughts on why we are contributing financially. So here are her words. When I was growing up, I wasn't part of a spiritual community. So when I started coming to GRU, I didn't fully understand what it took to make a community operate and to thrive. It's been a learning experience. Looking back, without realizing it at the time, I took a lot for granted. I honestly didn't see all the hard work going on in the background to keep the community going. Over the years, I've begun to quietly notice all the volunteer time, the freely given expertise, the emotional labor, and the financial donations that make it all possible. I see the value in being a part of this community, and I value helping it continue. I want it to continue for myself, but also for my son, who is benefiting from the nursery and activities downstairs. I'm so grateful for the people who have worked to build this community from its early beginnings through the thick and the thin years to today. I'm grateful to be able to help keep it alive.
With many thanks to all of us for our generous support of this community, we will now take up the offering. If you're a visitor to this church today, we invite you to let the basket pass. Your presence here is gift enough. And while we have the offertory taken, we're going to hear from our guests today, a Baha'i youth choir, singing group, choral group, the Baha'i youth from the Baha'i community. Thank you. hope that you were able to look across the audience and see what I saw, because everybody was really smiling while you were singing. It was really lovely, so thank you very much. This time is set aside in our service to recognize the joys and sorrows, the hopes and concerns that we bring with us today. You are invited to come forward and light a candle in silence, or if you're facing a milestone transition in your life that we might help you with, prayer, support, or celebration, you may come to the microphone and briefly let us know how we can support you. We encourage one breath sharing of information personal to you. We light this first candle in hopes that we work for peace in this world.
My name is Art. I'm lighting a candle for all the people in Eastern Ontario that were affected by the ice storm in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. My brother and his family have a lot of trees down on their property and didn't experience a lot of time without electricity, but I know some people are still waiting for the power to be turned on, and in this weather, that's a real challenge.
My name is Anka. I'm lighting a candle for my friends in Rochester, New York, who were part of the hands-off yesterday.
Hello, my name is Christina, and I am excitedly declaring to the universe that we are trying to move back to Kitchener-Waterloo this summer. So, if you know of a place that wants to rent to a therapist and a teenager and a German Shepherd, spread the word.
I'm Ellen, and I stand here and hold Russell. He's at home. I want to express a huge feeling of immense gratitude for the power of my stepson's spirit, for the love of life and creative living, because it's what keeps him going. He's exceptional and pushes back on the challenge of addiction with such love and openness. It opens up my heart. This place here has expanded incomprehensibly my feeling for what love is all about. And I hold that. It just envelops everything. I'll stop there.
Hi, I'm Jonathan, and I have bipolar 2, and I'm about 1 week in on a month-long medication change. And so far, it's working well, and so I just want to encourage anyone who's struggling with mental health, keep at it, and if your meds aren't working, talk to your doctor about changing things, because there's a lot of different things out there, and it can make a world of difference in just a week even, so.
The passing of my best friend's mom, whose table I have giggled at since I was 6 years old. Her name was Barb Wright.
I'm Wendy. We had a little health scare with my mom this week. So keep her in your thoughts and prayers. And even during the scary times, I find so much joy in this community. And I am continually amazed by our young people that I've had the honor to work with. They step up, they help out with events. They've just been great. And I'm so happy to see all our guests here joining us. I love that we can go out into the community and share.
We will light a final candle for all the joys and sorrows that remain silent in our hearts today. I'd like to welcome Michael Clifton from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Michael has been a long-time leader in Interfaith here in our community and is often an ambassador of Interfaith Grand River at many public events. Michael Clifton.
I just want to say that was really lovely. I'm going to be taking this whole thing back to my church to explain the love that's here. These are selections from Sacred Struggle, Seeking Christ on the Path of Most Resistance by Melissa Waitzing Inoue, published in the midst of her struggle with cancer just 1 year before her death, which happened just 10 days after her 45th birthday. I don't think God's omnipotence makes God impervious to pain. On the contrary, it seems to me that the ability to feel intense pain and express abundant sorrow on behalf of others is a lavish deployment of godly power. I wish I had more of this power. Experiences of disappointment and alienation have sometimes opened a door. If the two great commandments are to draw close to God and draw close to one another, how valuable are the moments when we clearly perceive the great distances between us. We should reach out to the people at our margins. Who are the people at my margins? What do I have to offer them? Jesus essentially said, don't bring meals to your friends or family or wealthy neighbors who will reciprocate in kind. Make your feasts for those who can't repay you, those who are hurting, those who aren't as nimble as you, those who will never see things the way you do. Humanity is no stranger to war, famine, civil unrest, mental anxiety, injustice, accidents, pain, and dark nights of the soul. All paths loop through here. This place is sacred. In trying times and places, we are not alone. We are many, not strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints. Thank you.
Please remain seated as we sing our meditation song number 123 in your hymn book. We will have a minute of silence following this song. Our centering music today will be in the form of a Jewish prayer for healing, led by our guests August Edelman and Norm Finkelberg from Temple Shalom.
Good morning. Thank you for welcoming us here today. We will be chanting the Mi Sheberach, which means in Hebrew, in English, it means the one who created. And it's a healing prayer in our liturgy. And we will be chanting it in two parts, in Hebrew and in English. And in between the two parts, as I look in your direction, feel free to say the names in your heart or aloud of those who you wish to have healing. And August will tell you a little bit about who wrote this prayer.
So while Mi Sheberach is a traditional blessing, the arrangement we're going to be performing is composed by a renowned Jewish singer-songwriter named Debbie Friedman. Her work was really remarkable because she used gender-neutral and gender-affirming and even feminine language to talk about God, and her work carved out a place for gender diversity in the music of our tradition. She was a passionate advocate for the inclusion of women in Jewish liturgical music at a time when women's voices were often marginalized in religious settings. This arrangement uses a mix of Hebrew and English that gives room for people to connect to the prayer in personal ways. Singing it is also an act of community, of being together and supporting each other in healing during difficult times. Mi Sheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi Sheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Thank you. The message today is from Dr. Jeff Wilson, a member of our church, a professor of religious studies at Renison College within the University of Waterloo, and a Buddhist monk serving Buddhist congregations in Toronto and Hamilton. I am really happy to welcome you, Jeff. This is great. So welcome to our pulpit.
Good morning, everyone. Seems my microphone is picking me up. Excellent, great. So I want to give a special welcome to friends and visitors who aren't part of the Grand River Unitarian Congregation. We're certainly very pleased that you've joined us here today, and thank you for sharing from your traditions. This is our interfaith service, so today I want to talk about several different kinds of opportunities that interfaith encounters offer to us. These are learning about religious others, learning from religious others, serving the community together with religious others, and building community together with religious others. I think these different ways of relating to one another help to clarify some of the value which interfaith work provides us in our dangerously divided world. The first way of relating to interfaith opportunities, that's learning about others. This is something that'll be pretty familiar to anyone who's spent a fair amount of time in Unitarian circles. In my own case, I was raised Unitarian, and in some ways, my religious upbringing was one long, interesting series of interfaith encounters. Our Sunday school curriculum was mostly a set of lessons about various world religions. And this approach goes back to the 1940s, when the religious educator Sophia Lyon-Fahs created the Church Across the Street program. Her program brought ministers, rabbis, and other local religious leaders to speak about their religion to Unitarian church kids. So first a guest would come and tell us about their religion, and then the following week there'd be a field trip to go to their church or their synagogue or what have you. Wherever that guest speaker happened to work. And this repeated for as many times as different religions that the Sunday school teachers could sort of find and coerce into coming to talk to us. So therefore, Unitarian children, they heard directly from religious others, and we had a glimpse of what it was like inside the churches and the synagogues that we walked past in our neighborhoods. I can recall many lessons from those long ago days of the 1980s and early 1990s. In grade 2, we studied evolution and the history of life on Earth. In grade 3, it was religions of Asia. In grade 5, we learned about the origins of Christianity. I remember building a balsa wood replica of a Nazarene dwelling like Jesus might have grown up in. I was quite proud of that replica. I think it still might be somewhere in my parents' home. In grade 6, we studied humanism and ethics. And I well remember a neo-pagan ritual which we performed in the high school youth group. We were divided into male and female groups outside of the entrance to the church gymnasium. And then the boys entered the darkened gym from one side in single file, chanting, "We are the old men, we are the new men, we are the same men, different from before," repeating that over and over. And then at the same time, the girls entered the gym from the other side, and they were singing, "We all come from the goddess, and to her we shall return like a drop of rain flowing to the ocean." So this was going on as we came in, and then as our lines sort of passed each other, we then swirled around each other, still chanting, until the 50 or so of us were a rotating spiral. It was really quite a magical experience. I remember this well. This is from my memory. I didn't go and look up these words or anything. I did that one time a certain number of years ago, which I won't calculate for you. And I still recall it from inside me. So I think these different ways of learning about each other, these were very important, right? This sort of curiosity and respect for other religions that was modeled for me while I was growing up, this formed the basis of my religious identity as a Unitarian. There are folks for whom Unitarianism is an escape from something bad, a sort of refuge from what is harmful in other religions. And I get that. I'm glad that we're able to play that important role for the many people who need it. But as for me, raised as a Unitarian, Unitarianism is an opening out to something good. It's a bridge to all that is beautiful, insightful, and nurturing in the world's religions. As a matter of fact, I first encountered Buddhism in my grade 3 Sunday school lessons. And I can distinctly remember thinking back at that time that if I had to choose a different religion when I grew up, it would be Buddhism. So, funny how karma works sometimes. There was real value in this learning about religious others. In the Church Across the Street curriculum, we came to know more about those with whom we share this world. Whether or not we were interested in believing in the same ways that they believed, our understanding was increased. we were better equipped to work, to play, and to live within the wide, non-Unitarian world where we found ourselves. I'm glad that we've been able to repeat this pattern with our own children here at Grand River Unitarian Congregation. They're prepared to meet our diverse world with curiosity, with appreciation, and discernment about the aspects of different cultures. Whether we're Unitarian, Anglican, Catholic, Muslim, Jewish, humanist, or otherwise, each of us is surrounded by religious others during most moments of our lives. Interfaith learning is vital in such a mixed society, on such a mixed planet as ours. Now, the second way of relating to interfaith opportunities, which I want to stress this morning, is learning from others. This form of relationship recognizes that religious others aren't just a source of information, they're also potentially a source of wisdom. Through interfaith encounter, we have the chance to learn from people who may have more experience and insight than ourselves. And their different perspectives provide us with an opportunity to look at things from a new angle and to discover what might have been hidden from our own point of view. I've learned from so many different sources of wisdom in my life. This morning, I'll just take one example. Although Christianity is the largest form of religion in North America, I was raised outside of it and have experienced it only as an outsider, never as an insider. Nonetheless, I've been fortunate to learn from many wonderful Christians, in person or via their words and actions. So the most recent of these in my own life is the Reverend Marianne Edgar Budde, the Anglican Bishop of Washington, D.C. She's become famous as a symbol of religious resistance to the oppressive policies of Donald Trump. In June 2020, Trump used one of her churches as a backdrop for a photo op about using military force against nonviolent protesters. And Bishop Budde went on national television after this, and she wrote for the newspapers, pushing back at his policies. She argued for Christian-informed ways of caring for our neighbors and avoiding violence. And for this, she received threats and hate. I wondered about how Bishop Budde felt the courage to stand up for a compassionate approach to Christianity when she knew that this would surely bring her hardship and possibly violence. So I bought a copy of her book, How We Learn to Be Brave, which you can imagine me holding it up here because I left it at home by accident. So, in this wonderful book, represented by my hand, what was her recipe for bravery? She says, this is a quote, "How we prepare for decisive moments determines our ability to step up to them when they come. Moments like these are preceded by seasons of preparation, practice, and intention, of making countless daily decisions that determine our capacity to be brave when called upon, or when we're summoned not of our own choosing. The courage to be brave when it matters requires a lifetime of small decisions that set us on a path of self-awareness, attentiveness, and willingness to risk failure for what we believe is right." It's the end of that quote. In her book, Bishop Budde gives examples of times when she or others were able to practice bravery. One of her important insights is that bravery doesn't look the same in different situations. Sometimes it looks like leaving a situation and striking out for other possibilities, taking a leap of faith, as they say. At other times, it looks like deciding to stay in a situation even though it might be easier or more comfortable to leave. Bravery may look like working for change, but it may also look like accepting things that you did not choose. These are all different scenarios for practicing bravery that she discusses in her book. And sometimes it does look like those dramatic moments, such as when Bishop Budde defied Donald Trump for misusing her church. These are what she calls stepping up to the plate moments, which are the most obvious, but also the least common moments of bravery during a lifetime of small acts of courage. Now, some people may know from following the news that Bishop Budde stepped up to the plate again this past January when she spoke at Donald Trump's inaugural prayer service. Despite experiencing blowback from her first clash with Trump, and knowing that he had become dangerously vindictive toward anyone who had publicly opposed him, Bishop Buddy understood the assignment that God seemed to have placed before her. With Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, their wives, and various followers seated directly before her and unable to leave during the service, yeah, she called forth her courage and she spoke from her Christian values. She delivered a sermon that called for the recognition of other people's dignity and worth, for personal honesty, and for humility. These are, frankly, things that appear lacking to me in the Trump administration and, frankly, in many other parts of contemporary society. Our problems are not concentrated in a single place or among a single group of people. And then she spoke directly to the most powerful man in the world. She said, here's a quote directly from her sermon, "Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you and as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals. They may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, gurdwaras, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land. May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people, the good of all people in this nation and the world." It's the end of the quote from her sermon. So these are the words of a Christian who has a belief in a guiding divine hand, something that I as a Buddhist do not share. But that doesn't really matter. They are words of wisdom and compassion for someone who has been there and learned things that I, living in a time of peril, need to know. I appreciate her courage to stand up for compassion, which from a Buddhist perspective is the most important value. And I'm struck by her perspective that bravery is something that we practice. That is to say, it's a practice, an activity, not simply an emotion or a personality quirk. As we practice bravery, bit by bit, in the different situations of our lives, we become better able to perform bravery when truly important, decisive moments do arrive. I keep thinking about this point as the world gets worse, and I consider what I need to do to try and to make it better. Thus, by being open to wisdom found in Interfaith Encounter, I'm able to learn from others and be benefited. Now, a further way of relating to interfaith possibilities is by serving the community and fellowship with others. Many years ago, I lived in central North Carolina, where I worked for the Interfaith Council for Social Service, the IFC as we called it. We ran the local soup kitchen, the homeless shelter, the transitional housing for families that were escaping domestic violence. We ran the low-income residences for people rising from poverty. We ran vocational and training programs and many other essential services for people in the area. Our work was supported financially and with volunteering by the many churches and other religious groups who formed the IFC. Coming from a wide range of theologies, practices, cultures, and political orientations, they all recognize that we are stronger together and can care for one another regardless of personal religious identification. The IFC is one of the most important organizations in that area, and not only because it feeds, houses, and cares for so many. In the still quite segregated American South, where racial, religious, and class differences are especially sharp, the Interfaith Council is one of the only places where black and white, rich and poor, evangelical and humanist meet, shake hands, and roll up their sleeves to work alongside one another. I was living there in North Carolina when 9/11 happened, and as the United States became more militarized, aggressive, and fearful, I organized a local chapter of the Buddhist Peace Fellowship. Now, most people who come from a North American background probably don't realize that Buddhism is very diverse. And the different kinds of Buddhism don't spend much time talking with one another. They aren't necessarily antagonistic, but they don't share a common set of scriptures or of practices or of devotional figures. So naturally, they tend to cluster among themselves. But the Buddhist Peace Fellowship wasn't a type of denomination. It was the only trans-sectarian gathering place where any kind of Buddhist was invited to gather with other Buddhists in order to work for peace and for justice. Thus, we attracted Buddhists from many different groups who had never actually met one another, including a woman from a type of Buddhism that's famous for not cooperating with others, and which other Buddhists tend to be suspicious of. Right? But she came and was an active member of that group along with us, a good contributor. Coming out of our various traditions, we met as one body, concerned about the rise of authoritarianism in the American government and acts of military violence overseas. We marched together against the impending invasion of Iraq. We gathered to discuss Buddhist approaches to peace, and we joined the Interfaith Council for Social Service. In doing so, we expanded the IFC beyond the Christian, Jewish, and Unitarian groups that were its backbone. Thus, we helped to widen the circle of interfaith community service work in North Carolina. Service to others via interfaith work is a vital contribution to the community. It not only helps those who receive assistance, it helps everyone else in the community as well. It does so by creating a healthier society and by strengthening the frayed bonds of our divided communities. And it points on to one more form of value that interfaith encounters can provide. And that final one is especially what Interfaith Grand River is about. If the Interfaith Council for Social Service is about serving the community, Interfaith Grand River is about building new community together. We meet monthly, rotating through various churches, temples, and other congregations in Waterloo, Kitchener, and Cambridge. In visiting each other's places, we're like those Unitarian Sunday school kids learning about other traditions. At our meetings, we hold small group discussions where peers from other religions share their perspectives on topics such as identity and forgiveness. And as we share our own ideas with the group in that process, like reading and considering the experiences of Bishop Buddy, we learn from neighbors of other traditions. At times, as a group, we're moved to research, to speak out, and to act on pressing issues, such as Interfaith Grand River's recent open letter to the government about safe consumption sites, or IGR's ongoing support for an Afghan refugee family. Thus, Interfaith Grand River is serving the community, like the Interfaith Council in North Carolina. All of these activities add up to more than the sum of their parts. These are the ways in which IGR builds new community, strengthening the social fabric of the region and of our lives. Interfaith encounters such as these help to break down fear. They help to heal old wounds and to find new friends. We live in an age of silos, where every force in society and the media is actively pushing us away from one another, pushing us to associate only with those who are exactly like us in every possible way. Sometimes this is painted as safety, but we've come to see the dangerous fruits of retreat into social, religious, and political cliquishness. Cut off from one another, convinced that the other silos are full of deplorable people whom we couldn't possibly have common ground with, we become weaker, fragmented, and easier to divide and conquer. We need to take every opportunity to learn about, learn from, serve alongside, and build community with those who differ in some ways from ourselves. These are precisely the practices which will create resilience for society during these divided times. So I'm thankful to Interfaith Grand River for giving me an opportunity to engage in these various sorts of practices. And I'm grateful to all of you for listening to my perspective this morning. Thank you all very much.
Before we sing our final songs, I invite you to join us downstairs after the service for refreshments and conversation. So our closing song is number 414 in your hymn books. As we leave this friendly place, it's quite short, so I'm going to ask you to sing it twice. I'd like to invite Sandy Milne, a Roman Catholic Christian and a leader of Interfaith Grand River since its beginning in 2001, to deliver our benediction.
Please be seated, because I'm just going to take a minute. Kirisuto no heiwa ga watashi tachi no kokoro no sumizumi ni made yuki watarimasu yo ni. May the peace of Christ be with you. May the love of Christ dwell deep in your heart. May the Spirit enlighten your way. May you walk in the comfort of God's care. I've just offered an invocation and a benediction. The difference being that the Japanese that I sang talked about us. May something happen to us. And the English that I sang said something about happening to you. Like, did I get left out? Maybe. A little bit of difference, but both of them blessings. I did not know that difference between, I've sung that song both in Japanese and in English for a long time, and loved it, but I just couldn't quite figure out how it worked. And so I talked to a Japanese friend, and she said, oh, well, really what you're singing in Japanese is, may Christ's peace spread into each corner of our hearts. May Christ's peace spread into each corner of our hearts. And she said there's three more verses. May Christ's peace, may Christ's light, may Christ's power, and may Christ's love. Peace, light, power, and love. Spread into each corner of our hearts. Wow, that's so different. I love the English. The English blessing, the English benediction is very powerful. But the Japanese, so she told me more. It's a very popular song among Japanese Christians, and it's sung every month at a protest in downtown Tokyo. That's kind of a bit of a tongue twister. People singing in front of the gates of the Futanema Airport base, protesting what's happening, inhumane activities there. And they're asking that they have peace and light and power and life to do this work in what our Indigenous brothers and sisters would call a good way. So I thought, all right, I can do something with that, because I love interfaith work. I'm committed to my Christian Catholic roots, but I love interfaith work. And finding a song that I can sing interfaithly can be difficult. I mean, I just need to drop Christ to begin with. That's one word I got to drop. So I took that and I brought it into a theistic place, and then I consulted with Jay and with a different Buddhist monk, Ananda, about whether a different way, whether I could, I took it into a theistic place by putting in God and using all four of the words from the original. The peace and light and power, like power, not comfort, power and life. So put in God and those four words. And then I asked Jay and a different Buddhist monk, if I put in love instead of God, will that work for people who are humanist or non-theistic? And they said, yeah, compassion's too long. It just doesn't scan. So yeah, you can use love, that'll be fine. So now I would like to offer the blessing. And if you figure out what's going on with what I'm singing, please feel free to continue and sing with me. May the peace of God live with us. May the light of God shine bright in our lives. May God's power sustain us each day. May God's life fill each corner of our hearts. May the peace of love live with us. May the light of love shine bright in our lives. May love's power sustain us each day. And may love fill each corner of our hearts. May it be so.
And all the people said,